Forget what you learned in school. Never mind what your parents told you, and disregard what your friends say. From now on, the only people you need to listen to are these guys. At Odds will enhance your worldview, strengthen your logical weaknesses, and brighten your teeth. For the next several minutes, they'll take you on a journey through the political jungle, across Liberty Ocean, and over the Enlightenment Desert. When your journey is over, you're safe at home, they promise you will be stronger, smarter, and, well, just plain better. And when you go out into the world, men will pat you on the back, women will weep at your wisdom, and children will adore you. So buckle up, hang on to your ears, because your journey starts now.
Hello and welcome to At Odds. I am one of your hosts, Nate.
And I'm your other host, Brian.
All right, this is our first episode of At Odds. What we're hoping to accomplish here is an entertaining talk show about politics, government, gun rights, constitutional rights,
civil rights,
freedom, liberty, taxes. Lots of talk about taxes. That seems to come up quite often. And
pretty much we want to talk about what's going on in our country and how it affects you and me and the rest of the world.
Yeah, so that's what we're shooting for. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, it's our first episode, so bear with us here.
Well, I think today's show will hit it running. Now, before we do that, let me just say that Nate is really pretty much staunch conservative.
Yes.
A little bit of libertarian leanings. I tend to be more moderate, but libertarian in the fact that I believe that people should be able to do what they want as long as they don't harm others. Nate, I think, feels that way.
Exactly the same way.
So we're going to
bedroom's not my business.
Right. So we're going to agree on some things. We're going to disagree on some things. I'm going to kind of try to convince you that my view is right, and Nate's going to try to do the same. So that's where we're at. So I thought we'd jump right in it, and I got a question for you, Nate.
Sure.
Do you think racism exists in the United States, or is it an excuse that the races use, and is racism used as a political weapon? So we can look at the first thing. Does racism exist in the United States?
Yes, I think it does.
Okay, and where and how?
You know what's weird about racism? I don't think it exists in as big of a role as is put forward by the media and that most people think. You have the KKK, the real racists.
But are they effective? Do they really have any political power? Certainly not like they did.
No, they don't.
In the 50s, the 30s,
the KKK
the 40s.
does. Race is used constantly in politics.
I agree with that.
It constantly, and I think
it's
it
a
is
tool.
effective.
And it's very effective.
It's effective, but it's sort of a reverse racism thing. Like, well, if you don't agree with my stance, or if you don't, vote the way that I think you should, then that's racist. Not
right.
As much as.
So it's that race card they play.
Yeah, it's definitely the race card.
Well, I think I agree with that. But I think racism does exist. Obviously, not everybody's going to like everybody for whatever reason.
Sure.
And when I talk about racism, I'm going to basically be talking about blacks versus whites.
Okay.
There's some Latinos in there and things, and certainly now you could throw in those of a Muslim philosophy and religion. But let's say the standard racism of black and white. I'm older than you, and I can remember in the 60s some of the things that were going on.
Sure.
And how horrible it was. I remember, Martin Luther King, the bombings, the lynchings and stuff. I can't remember the last time we've had a lynching. I'm sure we have, but.
And I definitely don't remember. I
think gays are getting lynched more now than blacks are.
Yeah, I think so.
Civil rights laws have changed that, so I think racism has gotten less and less. It's still there. It's always going to be there, I think. You're not going to get around that. But I think it's used as an excuse by minorities quite a bit. And I say it's used as an excuse because what they say is they look at somebody that's done very well, and they're not doing so well, let's say, and they're going to say, well, the reason I'm not successful, the reason I don't have a job, the reason I'm here is because I'm black. I don't know, because there's so many opportunities
That's the easy answer.
for everybody in this country.
Yeah, and that's definitely the easy
So it's a cop-out.
excuse,
Yeah.
cop-out. Yeah, exactly. But I think that those lines are fed to them by politicians who play on them.
Maybe, but I think they feel that way, and it's not just blacks. I mean, I'm overweight, so I could say some things like, the reason I didn't get promotion at work was because I'm fat.
Sure.
And that's an excuse.
Sure.
Not that I don't work hard or anything else, but it's fat, or it's because I have whatever. It's kind of an excuse. What I'm saying is that everybody in this country definitely has the ability and the opportunity to go to high school.
Yep.
To go on to college, even if they're not rich. Certainly money helps. I'm not arguing that at all. But if you want it bad enough, you can work, you can get student loans, you can get scholarships, you can get federal aid, you can get grants. It's there. It can help you. And then you go into the job market. Now, maybe there's some racism there, but when they, if it's blatant, that's against the law. You have some protection,
Yes.
not like it was 40 years ago. So there's some protections. What I'm saying is you can work hard and get ahead. And when you do that, I mean, you have successful minorities. They're not saying, you know what, I became rich because I'm black, or I became rich because I'm Indian or Latino or Mexican.
Right.
They became rich because they worked at it.
Yeah.
And they had skills, and they had things that were valuable to people, and they got paid for their services.
In the political spectrum, they're often looked at as turncoats of sorts. I mean, you look at Alan West and Mia Love. They're
Bill Cosby.
They're Bill Cosby to some extent. Yeah, they're
I mean,
black,
they're-
they're lumped in with the white racists that
Right.
we hear about from the
Right.
left.
You turned your back on your people.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And they're saying the same things I think we're saying, in that, no one's good, no one owes you anything
Yep.
in the
Yep.
world or in this country.
Yep.
But if you want it bad enough, there are avenues for you to become successful in this country.
Yep.
Now, one could argue and say, well, blacks start out at a lower plane than maybe others. I don't know if that's true. There's a lot of poor white people in this country.
Oh yeah, what you hear a lot is
And-
the school systems.
Well, the school system,
inner city
but
schools.
one might argue about just nutrition. You can say, well, poor people, they don't have as good a nutrition. Their babies don't develop as well. They're already going to have, some learning issues and all that. There could be some truth to that. You look at the Appalachians and the poor whites that are in that area. It's devastating. It's horrible even in today's world. But it's less and less, and I think if people really want to do well, they can do it.
Yeah.
And too often they use whatever excuse, whether it's race or money, trying to keep me down and all that. So I think racism has certainly gotten less. There's a lot more benefits and help for minorities than there were 40
There
years ago.
definitely are. I mean, you look. I think a big reason really is the political structure that people feel like they're underprivileged and they don't have the opportunities as everybody else. Same. A black person doesn't have the same opportunities as a white person. I mean, you look. We had that video of the lady with the Obama phone. That kind of stuff.
That went viral.
Yeah, it went viral. That kind of stuff is all over the place. It's generally minorities, and they're depending on government for basic needs.
Because they feel that they've been wronged sometime in the past, and
Yeah.
that it's owed to them.
Yeah.
So there's this entitlement
Yes.
mentality. You got to remember, I'm of Irish descent
Okay.
and Polish descent. Now, there was a time when the Irish were absolutely scorned. And granted, they weren't black, so they could maybe hide their Irishness.
Okay.
But the Irish, at the turn of the last century, from the 1890s to the 1920s and 30s, basically went from the riffraff into the mainstream because they fought like hell. They became, police officers, firefighters.
they got into law, they became judges, they were on the local governments, and they started, changing their positions in trying to become better people in this country, gaining some political power, making more money, and turning that around. So the Irish are hated less now than they were 100 years ago.
Sure.
And you can say that for other ethnic groups as well. And I think while the Irish weren't slaves, they were treated very much like slaves and indentured servants, and really were, not given jobs and stuff. The signs "Irish need not apply" and all that. So they can overcome it. But what they started to do is they became melted into the society, and we're not seeing that happening with blacks. And we should. They've been here, almost as long as the whites have been here. Granted, they were slaves for 300 years, but they need to start saying, instead of being different, start assimilating into society, getting involved in the politics, and they're slowly doing that, and rely less on the reason I'm not successful is I'm black and you owe me something.
Sure.
Until they can get over that, I think this is just going to continue on and on. The problem, I think, is the political powers. They see them as a voting bloc, and a voting bloc only, and want to keep them ignorant, entitled, and all of that.
Yep.
So they can use them as a tool, and that's where the political weapon comes in.
Yeah, and I definitely think it's obvious that our current administration is going for that so-called stupid minority vote.
And you imagine
ill-informed minorities.
You imagine if a white politician, now I want all you middle-class white people to vote for me,
would say something like, "There's 47% of the Americans that won't get his message." I mean, that's that's what the left claimed Mitt Romney said when he said 47% of the country wasn't going to, understand his message because they don't pay income taxes. I don't believe that's exactly what he meant.
No. We're going to change the subject now?
Well,
we can. This is exactly what he meant. He said that those 47%, he's not going to be able to win. And so it's not that he didn't care for him. He's not going to waste his time trying to politic to them.
Yeah, right.
To change their mind and get them to vote. So he's going to try to work on the other 53% that might listen to his message or are on the fence.
Yeah,
and will vote for him.
Right, and he was talking about the 5 or 10% in the middle that he really needed to work for. He has, he doesn't necessarily have the conservative base, but he has the, establishment Republican base. So yeah, and I don't think he was talking about the entire 47% that don't pay taxes, but a portion of that. His lower tax message won't reach them. They don't pay income tax. That's just a fact.
But also in that 47% are retired people on Social Security. They're going to vote one way or the other as well. They are active duty military people. And so there's a lot of people that aren't just freeloading. They're, doing something, or they paid into the system and taking something out now, and not just getting this entitlement for nothing.
Right.
So, it was poor choice of words.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what it was. He was speaking candidly to a group of obvious supporters. I mean, they paid quite a bit.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think what we can say is that's sort of old news. It's been bitten to death.
Oh, it is. It's been discussed like crazy. So we really don't need to discuss it much more here.
I just think it wasn't as horrible as what the press and the liberals
It was not.
were saying. So racism still exists. It's used as an excuse, and it's a political weapon. I think we can agree.
Agreed.
With that.
We do agree on that.
Okay. We can move on to Social Security. I heard something, and I think the year's right. I think it was in 2033. I think somewhere about there, that's sort of the number where it's doomsday, and, we're going to be out of money.
Okay.
And no one's,